You know, we really want these women to feel safe. And part of that is that, you know, we don't have a sign out front of our house. You know, we don't list where we are for their security and for their safety.
So one of the other questions we wanted to ask was, and you kind of touched upon it earlier, when they are finally freed, you mentioned this concept of aftercare. Usually we think of, let's say, the Civil War. You know, the slaves were freed and yeah, that's it. That's great. So how do you guys, how can we be involved in this kind of aftercare? How can we in the general public support you guys in this great adventure that you guys are on?
Sure. So I think one of the things that I want to let people know is that, you know, we often say that rescue doesn't mean freedom. And, you know, with all of the trauma that these individuals have experienced, you know, you can't expect somebody to get freed and be able to go out and get a job and, you know, and start to acclimate back into society like you and I would without having a support system. They need an environment where they feel safe, where they have time to rest so that they can heal. They need an extensive program, meaning not only do they need trauma-informed care, a lot of trauma therapy, but they need to be able to have teachings like basic life skills, you know? They really need to have an opportunity, like we have a program that's designated to specifically target their trauma as well as work through their drug and alcohol addictions, because most of the individuals that have been trafficked have some type of addiction to drugs or alcohol, and in a lot of cases it's because their trafficker has purposely gotten them addicted to drugs to keep them in the life of slavery. Yeah, so how can you help? You know, North Star Initiative is a 501c3 nonprofit, so we rely heavily on donors to be able to provide those services, you know, from housing to all of the food that we give the survivors, you know, to all of the basic needs. A lot of women come into the program with no identification, so then we have to provide that. You know, we have to utilize those services and pay for their identification. Medical care, dental care, all of those things that a lot of times these women, they haven't had that for a long time in the life of trafficking. And so we provide all of that. And the most expensive is trauma therapy, but it's also the most important for them. I feel like it's the key, we've seen this, to their healing. Yeah.
And this is kind of a random question, but someone might want to know, are we allowed to go visit this house? Are we allowed to know where it is?
And the answer to that is no. You know, we really want these women to feel safe. And part of that is that, you know, we don't have a sign out front of our house. You know, we don't list where we are for their security and for their safety. Because the reality is that some of the women that we see that come into the program have been or can be local women. And so depending on the circumstance, you know, we feel like it's safe for them to come into the program. We want to take those extra precautions to make sure that they are safe, you know. But even those that come from out of state, again, you know, we just take those precautions to make them feel safe.
You don't want them to be easily found. Yes, that makes total sense.